Greetings. This is L.D. Clark, novelist, historian, and screenwriter. The screenplay I describe here, Reapers of the Whirlwind, is adapted from my novel, A Bright, Tragic Thing. The story centers on the Great Hanging at Gainesville, Texas, in the Civil War. 42 Unionists were condemned to death by a vigilante court under the control of a Confederate mob. 40 of them were hanged from the same giant elm, and 2 were shot while running to escape. All these men were strongly opposed to secession. They signed a petition to the Confederate Congress asking them to rescind the exemption of large slaveholders from military service. They were unsuccessful. They formed a resistance league sworn to rise against the Confederacy, but only got as far as conspiracy before Confederates infiltrated their meetings, seized a large number on a raid, and tried them for treason before the Kangaroo Court. In Reapers, we open with Nathaniel Blair, Pap, preparing for a night meeting of the resistance in the woods. Leaving his son Todd, age 18, to care for Ma, Sis, and 2 younger children. In quick succession comes a scene in which Pap has ridden unsuspecting into Millcourt, Gainesville, on the morning of the arrests, and the family is horror-struck to hear that he too has been seized. Todd rushes to town on his marvelous pony, Kiowa, manages a secret meeting with Pap, and vows to take every possible step to free him, though the Citizens' Court, so-called, has already been formed and the hanging tree selected. Todd then confronts in vain a redneck militia captain, Harley Dexter. At home again, Todd and the rest of the family go through an intense scene of fear, hope, and determination. The next morning, he hurries to Colonel Oldham's Red River plantation and pleads with him, again in vain, for the accused to be tried in district court. At the plantation, the wounds of a nation divided against itself are unveiled. Aristocratic claims of the Southern gentry versus small farmer pride. Tensions of racism in a slave society. Even in the unfolding of young love, for here Todd falls for Jenny Tickner in a Romeo and Juliet passion. Unionist boy loves Confederate girl. At first, he thinks she is the daughter of Confederate zealot Colonel Tickner, until he learns in a scene where he rescues her from outlaws that she is in fact Tickner's niece. Her father is dead. As their yearning compels them forward, Todd and Jenny become accomplices in trying to save Pap. 3 hot-blooded love scenes occur as time goes by, the last when they spend the night together and Todd flees north at dawn to escape rebel hotheads and join the Union Army, vowing to return and marry her when the war is over. Another vital relationship begins at the Oldham plantation. Todd meets Cabas, an elderly slave who at first shares the southern gentry's disdain for small farmers. The two grow closer when Cabas helps to save Jenny from the outlaws, when he assists in attempts to free Pap and acts as a go-between for Todd and Jenny. Cabas is truly like a father to her. After Pap's lynching and Todd's homecoming, Cabas becomes a father figure to him and presides, in effect, over the blessed, though sorrowful conclusion to the union between Todd and Jenny. One gripping scene after another intensifies the plot as the script goes on. Todd often witnesses the hangings, once when he has to sweat out whether his father is to be in a group strung up by the mob without even the sham trial. Then the citizens' court decides to free all the indicted men the following week. But this pause in the outrage is brief. Todd visits Colonel Oldham again. The two of them are soon in sympathy on ending the massacre. But then, as they ride toward Mill Court together, they are waylaid in the river thickets, and Colonel Oldham is shot to death. No one knows by whom, but all hell breaks loose again in Mill Court. The prisoners are charged as accessories to the murder of Colonel Oldham, Pap among them. All are convicted and sent to the gallows tree, starting the very day they were to be freed. Todd is granted a few minutes to say a tormented farewell to Pap. He and Sis see him to his death, because Ma momentarily breaks down. She recovers enough, though, to reach the tree in time to see Pap die. When Pap's body is loaded into the Blair ox cart to be borne away, Sis shocks the crowd and enrages Harley Dexter by demanding the rope that hanged Pap. He has to give it to her, since she will not drive away without it. After the funeral during a light snowfall, and while we glimpse Todd far off in northern battlefields, Ma and Sis use strands of the rope to bind two sticks into a cross and erect it at the head of Pap's grave. They nail the rope strands to the sticks. It is not the women who drive the nails into the cross of Jesus, of course, but the symbolism holds. Several other irresistible characters appear in scene after scene. We have Preacher Tillman, an unwilling member of the jury, who labors to acquit men and is almost tried for treason himself. Ma is strong in spirit except for her brief panic. Sis is fiercely attached to her brother and will not blench before the machinations of the bloodthirsty court. She is bent on revenge until the denouement and the change of fortunes on which the story ends. Her boyfriend, Willen, stands out as steadfast and generous. As the action rises into a gripping outcome, great scenes will have moviegoers on the edge of their seats. Todd and Harley Dexter clash in a showdown on the south bank of Red River as Todd is about to flee north. This river, which is both actual and symbolic as the bleeding gash in the nation. In this gunfight, Todd is armed with a Spencer rifle he acquired by happenstance early on, his magical weapon throughout the film. Harley Dexter has the advantage though armed with only a muzzleloader. But Todd tricks him into defeat and death. As he shoves the body into the river, anticipating his revenge on the jury members, Todd yells out, "I'll be sending you plenty of company, Harley, once I cross this river coming back." He vows also to put a torch to Millcourt. Dramatic scenes layer in thick and fast as closure nears. Todd is sent from Kansas, still riding Kiowa, on a scouting party to spy out a route for a Union invasion of Texas. Let me say of Kiowa that if the right pony is chosen, he can readily become an animal actor on a par with Lassie some years ago. When the Union scouts reach the north bank of Red River, they hear from a column of Confederate soldiers wending homeward along the south bank that Lee has surrendered. No longer enemies, the two detachments celebrate reconciliation over coffee on the Texas side of the river. Todd goes on to an emotional reunion with Cabas on Tickner plantation land he is now in charge of. Colonel Tickner has been killed fighting Sherman in Georgia. Todd is shattered when Cabas tells him that Jenny died along with the baby that Todd left her pregnant with. On the strength of his love for Jenny and the sacred memory of his father, he repents of nurturing vengeance on the jury members and burning Millcourt. He goes on to a joyous reunion with his family. Willen has come home disabled from serving in the Confederate Army. He and Sis are married now, and she is pregnant. Bearing the future within her, she too renounces vengeance. The climax comes in two highly charged scenes. The Blairs go out to stand by the cross marking Pap's grave, around which Ma and Sis have sowed wildflowers. Ma says, "We can put him up a tombstone now." As we pan away, a simple slab of granite replaces the cross. The final scene displays an abundance of wildflowers spread over a vast expanse of Texas. An inscription tells us that Texas was restored to the Union in 1870, into the new birth of the nation conceived in the Gettysburg Address. Thank you.